Have you ever wondered what the hell is going on here? Why is the situation what it is? What's happening? Why is this happening? What's going on, right? Well, the reality is there's some situations that you are the problem. I know it's hard to believe that we're the problem of something, right? We have to think about the grand scheme of things. And if we have to stop and think about the same things, like repetitive things happening over and over and over and over, more than likely it's because of you. It's you not setting boundaries, you not understanding yourself, you not caring about yourself, you having adjust or attachment issues. Something's going on if there's continuing to be the same issue over and over. Okay. So we got to think about that. And it's hard to think about, and it's a hard reality, but it's true. So let's talk about that. What do I mean by that? Well, let's talk about the easiest portion of this would be relationships, right? You have a relationship, it ends. You have a relationship, it ends. And all these relationships are ending. What we need to do is stop and think, why does this keep happening? What's going on? I've struggled with this myself, you know. I haven't been in a whole lot of relationships. I can't say that I have. I've been pretty much a, hey, I'm going to be with you and I'm only going to be with you. And then I'm going to have that relationship and then it ends. And for a long time, there was a pattern. There was a pattern of issues, whether it was, in the beginning, I was very scared of abuse or, verbal abuse or any of that. And then it became after my marriage really set me to where, oh my God, he's cheating. And so, no matter what path I was going on with any relationships after either one of these scenarios, I always took that with me. Okay. I assumed something, and so I would abruptly end it, or I would sabotage my relationships because I didn't want same things going over and over and over. Okay. And it doesn't even just have to be relationships of a, intimate relationship. Let's talk about friendships. Okay. If you're having the same thing happen over and over and over and over, what I found is it's because I allowed people in and I didn't hold true to my boundaries. I didn't make my boundaries priority, and I allowed others to dictate. And then when I would get tired or hurt, um, or they did what they were going to do, boom, it was over. Right. So, with that being said, the problem was me. The problem was me in both of those scenarios. Okay. And what had to happen is that I had to understand that I had to make changes for myself. I had to create a new, authentic Diane. I had to create a healed Diane. I had to create a forgiving Diane. I had to create the best Diane that I could, because until I could do that, I was going to continue to have the same problems. Okay. Jobs. I've heard people say, well, I can't keep this job because I can't keep this job because, and they change jobs and they change jobs and they change jobs. There's always an excuse. Well, the problem is that that's not really the issue the majority of the time. The problem is they don't want to step back and take a look at their position in that relationship of, you know, maybe they're applying for jobs that they should have never applied for. And I wholeheartedly believe that if your internal clock is off, everything around you will be affected. The boss will be pissed. The boss is mean. Coworkers are stupid. The coworkers don't know what they're doing. They're always blaming me. There's always excuses with it. And in reality, it's because you don't have yourself together and you lowered your standards for a job you shouldn't have, or you thought you were more than you could. Whatever it could be, you need to stop and look in the mirror. It's not until you really have the desire to say, what the hell is going on here? You know, to make changes like that, to make changes saying, am I being true to myself? To make changes saying, am I allowing this to happen? To make changes to say, what am I going to do differently? You have to go through these processes. And there's some people that never have that happen. They continue to go through life with blame, anger. It's always a self sabotage. Okay. I know grown people that are still like, well, they fired me and I don't know why because I was the best of the best and I did this and I did this and I did this. That's really not the truth. Because if all that was true, there wouldn't have been any reason to fire you, right? So those excuses that you're making are just that. They're excuses. If you're crying because your friends are all doing the same thing, like your friends for 6 months and then boom, you're not, it's a cold end, probably because something's happened and that might be you. So we have to stop and think about it. Are we the problem? Are we the ones that are allowing things to happen? Are we the ones doing things to make it bad? Are we doing that? And it's okay if you are the problem. If you can identify that you're the problem, guess what? There's always the ability to identify the changes that need to be made in order to change that from happening, in order to make the next thing better. Okay. If you're one that has excuses and overran with excuses, guess what? Probably need to take a look at yourself because until you do that, it's going to continue to be the same pattern. And until you learn that you're worth more or that you're important or whatever you need to do and whichever type of relationship it is there, whether it be the work relationship, whether it be an intimate relationship, whether it be friendships, until you put the work in it, it's going to continue to do the same thing. The problems are still going to occur. So it's important to me to share with you guys some of the things that you can do to change you if you're the problem is a lot of self observation. And I'm going to do another video about that. And I'm going to get deep dive into that about how to, go in and find yourself because you can find yourself and then get through things. It's the truth. Finding yourself is very hard. It takes a lot of work, but it's worth it. Once you find yourself, you can identify where you were the problem at. Once you've identified yourself, you can identify where the changes need to be made. Okay. I'm going to give you a little story and let you know where I'm the problem because I recently have realized that I was a problem. It was me. I was the problem. Okay. And I guess I want to tell you the story to tell you that it happens to everybody. If you're feeling like me and it's me, it's okay. We can allow ourselves to understand that it's us and go move on. Okay. So we all know that I have a kid, love her dearly, would change nothing for her. But I was a problem for her. And I say that because it wasn't until I William and I got together, and we started talking and he allowed me to understand that I wasn't helping her. I was not helping her, I was enabling her. And with everything that I was doing that I thought was helping her for the better of her, all I was initially doing is hurting her. And I was allowing her to do what she was doing because I was the problem. Hey, I need $20. Oh, here you go. Hey, I need this. Here you go. Hey, here you go. Hey, here you go. I didn't really do that. I didn't mean to. Oh, it's okay. It was always a forgiven act or a natural act. I never made her accountable for anything. And did I help her? I gave her the ability to know that good hearts are a true thing, but I didn't help her grow in any way that was positive. And it's hard because there's been struggles, but she's persevering, you know? Once I figured out I was the problem, I was enabling, I was allowing things to happen, and I stepped back and reevaluated my situation with her, there was growth within her. Now you might look at her and say, where? Because you don't know the situation, but I do. I can tell you there's been growth. I can tell you that it's been hard because once I learned that I was the problem and I had to readjust me, it meant that there was some boundaries there. It meant that there was some things there that needed to change or that would change. And so I had to make that happen. And that was hard, you guys. I was the problem. I was enabling her. I was enabling her to not have to do anything more. And William and I, we didn't really battle about it, to be honest. He said what he said, and I think he thought he hurt my feelings. But what he did is he allowed me to have that person to say, "Oh wow," you know. And so, in saying that, I want to say this: my love for her was not the problem. Me caring for her was not the problem. Her being her was not the problem. Us not being genuine and true to ourselves was the problem. And so I set some boundaries, we made some changes, and you know, there's been growth. And she was out here not long ago and she looked at me and she was being serious and she said, "I'm really glad things happened the way they did and that you had William to help you with that. I appreciate him." And that meant a lot to me because in many ways I had a struggle through the change. Once I identified that it was me, I was the problem. I have That was hard, you guys. There was a lot of boundaries there that had to be made and created, and it allowed me to look at her in a different light. It allowed her to look at me in a different light, and like I said, it created a change. So yeah, it was hard. It was hard. But I say that to say this. I still love her. She still loves me. I still love being nanny. I still love spending time with them. I love the role that I have today. It's very nice. It's nice to be able to say we can have boundaries and we can be okay, but I'm not the problem anymore. It's not me. Anything that happens from that point forward is not me because I'm no longer enabling. I'm no longer holding that person and making myself accountable for that person. I let them be them and I let me be me, and I made changes to where it allowed growth. I was the problem. I was the problem from the day that I didn't value her enough to say I want to teach you in a positive way. I was doing a lot of overcompensating because life hadn't always been easy for her. So I was overcompensating. I was doing more than I might have needed to try to make some things a little bit different for her. And in reality, though it did help her in aspects, me kind of putting her under my wings and just carrying her along, it did hurt her in the aspect of it didn't allow her to grow effectively or efficiently and do what she needed to do. Okay. So that's what I say when I say we all can stop and think of things where we say, damn, I'm the problem. But when you identify that, there is room for change. There is room for something more. There is room for growth. And you're going to be happier once you realize that. So, no matter your situation, no matter your story, no matter what happens, to say I'm the problem isn't always bad because there can be change, but you have to want to make the change. You have to be able to identify where you're the problem or how the problem started and then create that change. Okay. And that's going to be a lot of finding yourself. Okay. Um, and there's things that, like I said, if you're the problem in your relationship, step back and look and think about what can be better, what you need, what you want. Set expectations together. Don't allow yourself to be that problem anymore. Okay. If you're having problems at work, if you think that everybody's just picking on you, more than likely it's not a them thing, it's a you thing. And then step back and look at your work ethic. What are you doing? Why is that happening? Okay. Because I promise you, once you realize that you're the problem, you're going to make the change. If you want difference, if you want some difference, you're going to make the change. So, I do want to thank you guys for watching. That's all I've got for you today. But please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be back. Bye, guys.